I do.
All right, and if you'd state your name and your mailing address for the record, please.
I'm Michael Oxman, 10236, 37th Place, Southwest, Seattle.
Your witness, Mr. Jackins.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing here today, Mr. Oxman. I appreciate it. As you know, I am calling you as an expert witness on tree issues. So I have a few, you watched me give a few questions before to other folks, so similarly I'll ask a few short questions and give you a chance to explain more detail. First of all, would you please tell us about your background, including your qualifications and experience as an arborist?
Well, I'm ISA Certified Arborist number PN0756A. And I've been an arborist since 1970, certified since 1987 with college coursework in botany. I was chairman of the Grant Pass Urban Tree Advisory Committee in the late 80s and vice president of plant amnesty in the 2000s.
Thank you. Number two, have you visited the Wilson Pacific site?
Yes, most recently last night.
Thank you. Number three, have you seen the Lombardy Poplar exceptional tree on the west side of the site, which the district is planning to remove?
Yes, and I got two pictures of that tree if you're interested. Fantastic tree, 10-foot diameter tree. Fifth largest Lombardy in the city.
Thank you. I'm sure that that would be of interest, and I don't know whether to combine all the years as one exhibit to end in.
These photos are from the PASV.
It's up to you, Mr. Jackins, how you want to handle your...
Okay, well, I'm thinking it's, might as well pass them around at the moment, but it's probably part of his whole package, so.
So there's two photos. Both the photos are from PASV.
I'll be interested to hear more about that in a moment, but do you think that there would be value in retaining this tree, and would you recommend retaining this tree?
Yeah, this tree is savable. Does have a lot of benefits to the community, to wildlife, to the amenity of the area, and it upgrades the quality of the neighborhood, and it fits in with the urban forest canopy cover assessment that was done that recognizes the contribution of green infrastructure to the quality of urban life.
Thank you. Have you looked at Appendix D to the Wilson Pacific checklist, which is the tree assessment?
Yes, I looked at that report.
The tree assessment only seems to look at 3 trees on the site, is that correct?
Yes, and the report states that was the assignment, which is unusual because the Seattle Municipal Code 2511 requires that the applicant provide the locations of all the trees on the site that are over 8 inches in diameter.
Thank you. Are there other trees on the site?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a large clump of birch, most notably. Then there's trees off-site that are spanning the property line and have branches that extend within the site as well, including a row of Lombardy poplars along Billings Pond.
Thank you. Would you recommend a more detailed survey and plan to assess the relative value of retaining various trees and the number and type of replacement trees that should be planted?
Yes, the reason why DPD typically requires an arborist report is so that the decision makers have an understanding of what the contribution of the trees are to the site and to the community. So the law just doesn't have a statement, it has a rationale behind that. And there really is no canopy analysis in the appendix for the city is very weak in its Director's Rule 16-2008 in that it only regards the width of the tree, not the height of the tree. So a tree is not a two-dimensional object. A tree is a three-dimensional object. And so the city needs to upgrade DR 16-2008 and SMC 2511 to recognize that trees are in fact 3D objects and that they have biological processes that allow photosynthesis to occur, which cannot be done on a flat map or diagram.
I'm going to object to any further testimony along these lines. The appeal at paragraph 2 identifies the issue before the examiner as the exceptional tree, large Lombardy Poplar, but issues about the survey that was submitted to DPD, whether compliance was done with DPD rules, and trees in general on the site are not within the scope of the appeal.
In terms of not going into the various changes that might be proposed to the law, I understand that. And we did reference other trees earlier in our appeal filing in a summary saying that there were a number of trees proposed to have changes to them. So I'm thinking that's still a fine topic. But we did concentrate on the Lombardy Poplar. Mr. Hill is correct in that account.
So if you, Mr. Oxman, I don't know if you were following all that exchange, but what Mr. Jackins identified in his appeal, the statement I'm looking at right now under number 2 was focused on the Lombardy Poplar, and Mr. Jackins said that there should be some mitigation for its loss if the tree cannot be saved. And so I think that's what you've been brought here today to talk about. But Mr. Jackins can correct me if I'm misstating his.
Well, to a certain extent, that is the emphasis. But we did state it 1A on page 2 of our appeal filing that removal of many trees, including an exceptional tree, is our concern. Since many trees are proposed to be removed. And the reason it was a little difficult to come up with any specifics on the other ones is that only 3 trees were referenced in the school district's analysis. They only bothered to look at 3 trees. Part of our issue is that we think there ought to be a tree survey. We don't know which trees are going, which aren't, and what will be replaced and with what. So that was my attempt to mention about the removal of many trees. I think that is still validly within the appeal.
Well, how about this? And of course, EPD and Mr. Hill can pop up if they don't like it, but what I'm going to suggest is that the issue is whether there should be additional mitigation for tree loss. And that was a decision by DPD that no further conditioning was needed for the loss of the Lombardy or other plants beyond the best practices. That's what I'm reading from the decision. And so, to the extent Mr. Oxman wants to direct his comments at that decision, then I'm willing to hear. I mean, I see that the appeal statement in 1 is a little broader than just the Lombardy Poplar. So.
Thanks. And I have faith that Mr. Oxman can say a few things about the poplar. Also, I was about to let you say a few more things, and I didn't ask you to explain more about your photos, so if you might start there to say something about the photos and then address the poplar and possible mitigations. I think you've already mentioned that it would in fact be probably a good idea to keep it.
Thank you. Thank you. The two photos are a long view and a close-up view of the same tree in the center of the photo. And also in the long shot is the Doug fir that's included in Appendix 4. So I wanted to address equivalency. Earlier we were talking about volume, so now I'll talk about trunk diameter replacement equivalency. So this tree has trunk diameter of 10 feet approximately. Many calculations regarding replacement use the area of the cross-section of the trunk. So if there were, say, a 10-foot diameter tree and the replacement tree was 2 inches in diameter, there could be hundreds of trees required to replace the amount of wood included in the 10-foot diameter tree. And in fact, in other appeals, the school district has used trunk diameter equivalency as one of its criteria for assessing replanting scheme. So the mitigation for loss of the Lombardy poplar could involve a planting of hundreds of trees in order to replace the stem diameter of 10 feet.
Thank you. Anything more to say on that, or the particular types of trees that?
Well, one of the items in the Appendix 4 was that the tree is on the prohibited street tree list. And it's my understanding that that list is for planting of trees, not for existing trees. So if, say for example, someone were to go out and apply for a permit to plant a street tree in the street right-of-way, they wouldn't issue a permit for a Lombardy poplar. But as far as the difference between what's on paper and what's in the real world, there is no attempt to go out and remove street trees that are not on the list. And then the important distinction is that this Lombardy poplar is not a street tree. It is located on private property. And I don't even know why an irrelevant fact that it's on a prohibited street tree list is even listed in this assessment.
Thank you. I think that may do it. Unless there's a couple other details that I haven't picked up, but I'll give you that opportunity at the moment.
So, I guess the ratio of trees that is suitable to replace the trees that are going to be lost to the bulldozer is using a current metric known as the 2-for-1 tree replacement policy. And this is a very stylish policy that was put in place when Mayor Nichols was gearing up to roll out his national climate strategy. So he required that all city agencies replace every lost tree with 2 trees. And 10 years has gone by since that policy came out, and in December, the Urban Forestry Commission took another look at the 2-for-1 replacement policy, and they recommended to the City Council that that 2-for-1 replacement policy be modified in 3 different ways. And so I've printed out the recommendation by the Seattle Urban Forestry Commission, which I'm seeing is actually September 5th, 2014. So there's three basic changes, and one of them is when dwarf trees are replanted to replace existing large trees, that the ratio be increased to 4:1. In other words, this existing policy is less than half as adequate as it ought to be. So in other school district projects where the distance between the sidewalk and the curb demands dwarf trees, such as pear trees, like the 66 pear trees that were planted at Ingram High School, those are considered small stature trees, and